Ready to take your business to the next level with EOS? Whether you're feeling overwhelmed by growing pains or simply want more structure, then this video is for you. Today I'm breaking down the step-by-step process of our experience implementing the EOS framework, which is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. I'll share some practical tips, the overall framework, and 2 key options, whether you want to do this by yourself or, like we did, hire a professional implementer. Hey Peak Life family, welcome back to the channel and this playlist, which is all about the implementation of the Entrepreneurial Operating System. So if you're serious about building a more focused, structured, and profitable business, then you're in the right place. But before we dive in, I want to emphasize something that was critical to our success, and that was hiring a professional EOS implementer. There is no way this process would have been as successful without them. On the EOS website, you can go through and select a professional EOS implementer who has experienced the training and the framework to help businesses like yours implement the EOS system. This can save you months or even years of trial and error. But if you're more of a DIY type person, then there's also a portal that allows you to self-implement and gives you these tools and resources to help roll it out to your entire organization. So how does the implementation go? Well, first up we have step 1. And that is to establish your vision. Everything in life starts with vision. In EOS, the vision component helps clarify where you're going and what it will look like when you get there. For us, this meant sitting down and establishing who our leadership team would be, and then answering some tough questions. We focused on things like, what is our core purpose? What are we here to do? What niche are we in? What are our long-term goals that, if achieved, will lead to the success we want? And then perhaps most importantly, what do we want our company to look like in 10 years? What is the picture of what our successful company will be like? To do this, we looked at one of the first tools, and that is the Vision Traction Organizer, known as the VTO, which is a simple 2-page document that outlines our company's long-term vision and plan. And if you hire a professional implementer, they'll walk you through this with a step-by-step process known as the EOS cycle. This will ensure that your vision is clear and actionable, something that everyone in the organization can use to make their day-to-day decisions, as well as setting up their more long-term goals. And then step 2, we created the accountability chart. You might have heard of this in terms of an organization structure, but EOS likes to define it as an accountability chart. And how this works is you start off with the overall structure of your organization. What does your business need in terms of the functions and the roles? Once you have that, you start filling it in with people that can sit in that box. And this was a lot more difficult than it originally seems, because most people, they start off with the people first and then fill in what roles they're currently doing. But this doesn't help your company create clarity and the right structure for where you want to be 6 months to 12 months out. The purpose of this is to drive accountability for every role's functions. And when you put someone in that box, you run through another process, checking their core values and whether they get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it, but we'll touch on that later. Next up, we have implementing the weekly level 10 meetings. And this is one of my favorite parts of EOS. Like many companies, we found ourselves having way too many meetings that weren't as valuable as the time spent in them. But the level 10 weekly meetings are different. They're highly structured and they follow an exact cadence where it's every week meeting in the same time at the same place. And the big difference with this compared to our other meetings is that the vast majority of the time, 2/3 of the meeting, 60 minutes of the 90-minute meeting, is all about addressing and solving issues in the business. And our EOS implementer, Nico, was instrumental in getting these up and running and teaching us the discipline to keep them on track so that we could solve more of the biggest issues that were affecting the business. Next up, we have the scorecard, also can be referred to as measurables or KPIs. We all know that you can't manage what you don't measure. And in EOS, they focus on running your business on data, not on emotions. The scorecard is the weekly snapshot of where your business is at, with the most important KPIs or measurables that you need to know whether you're making progress or falling behind. Every department and every person needs to have measurables that they're responsible for. And then the most critical ones of these roll up to the senior leadership team so that they get a snapshot of the overview of the business, which you can then take action on when things get off track. And I know this sounds simple, but creating the scorecard was extremely difficult because it's easy to add a whole bunch of numbers that are either not valuable or extremely difficult to gather every week. The key here was to find the right balance of the things that would tell you whether you're progressing in the right way and when off track you can take action on. This is something over time we audit and try to continually improve to get better and better numbers to give us not just lagging indicators of success, but leading indicators. This way we get numbers that will show whether we're on track or not before it's too late to make changes. Next up, we have the biggest part, and that is identifying and solving key issues through what EOS calls IDS, which is identify, discuss, and then solve. And I think everyone who's gone through EOS would agree that one of the biggest benefits is how EOS tackles and solves issues. When a problem comes up, instead of just letting it linger, it can be addressed every single week, where it follows that 3-step process of the identify, discuss, and solve. This keeps you on track and able to solve massive issues in a relatively short amount of time. The issue solving was one of the biggest hurdles when we first started. It was extremely difficult to stay on track and focused to solve just the issue at hand. And this is where a professional implementer has helped us over countless quarterlies. He's helped teach us how to stay on track, how to identify the actual root issue, and then solve that instead of going on tangents and getting into the weeds. And then we have the 90-day world and setting rocks. EOS operates on what's called the 90-day world, where every quarter we set company-wide and individual goals. And these are known as rocks. Rocks are the most important thing you need to accomplish that quarter. Things that are gonna bring you towards your 1-year goal. But they aren't just random tasks or doing your day-to-day work to keep the lights on. They're the big initiatives that are gonna move the company forward. Next up, we had the quarterly and annual planning sessions. Every quarter, EOS calls for a full day of senior leadership team planning session. This is where the leadership team reviews the past quarter's wins and losses. We set new rocks, we look at our accountability chart, and we solve any lingering issues. And then once a year, we go into a deeper 2-day planning session. Research shows that we can stay on track for about 90 days. After that, we start to float and drift. And these planning sessions are absolutely crucial for bringing the team back together and getting refocused and organized, which ultimately allows us to achieve our long-term vision. And with everything else, having a professional implementer run these sessions has been extremely beneficial. But if you're wanting to do it yourself, there's also plenty of tools on their online portal for self-implementation. And my final thoughts on the power of the EOS model is that implementing EOS isn't easy. It creates a whole bunch of new priorities that you didn't know you had. But following it step by step, it brings clarity, accountability, and structure to your business. Not just at the top leadership team, but it rolls it out to every single level of the organization. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be tough conversations needed. But remember to trust the process. It has worked for thousands of other businesses, and it can work for yours. So if you're ready to give EOS a try, I highly recommend reaching out to a professional implementer and setting up a discovery call. You can find these on the EOS website. And again, I have no affiliation with it at all. I'm just highly passionate about it, and I think it can help many organizations become more profitable and more enjoyable to work at. So if you're interested in learning more about the EOS process, please consider subscribing so that you get notified to the next video, which will continue to go through our EOS process. Thanks, and we'll see you there.